Okay, hopefully we're live. My family complained that there wasn't a little picture of me, so we're trying the webcam. Please excuse the mess. I give you the cute dog I was arguing with yesterday. He will continue arguing with me today because I have pizza over here, and he really would like me to know that he wants pizza. But he might get some crust, and that's about it. Where we left off last week, and the reason I wanted to finish my prep as a stream, is that we didn't get to the most important part of the 8 steps of the Lazy Dungeon Master, which are secrets and clues. This is a concept that I found really, as I look at the camera, hello, I'm Mitch, nice to meet me. As I consider this, probably the thing that really hooked me into the 8 steps is the idea of secrets and clues that Sly Flourish talks about. I don't know that he originated this idea. I think if you look at a lot of DM prep, people who've been DMing for a long time come to this conclusion. So I don't think this is an original idea of his. He's just marketed it, given it a cool name, and put it in his book. And so I think the best way to describe secrets and clues is rewards for the players asking questions that aren't tied to specific scenes, events, or locations, right? Things that the players can learn, because learning about your world is a currency to players. Learning about the settings, lore, learning about the mysteries of the plot, learning about how certain things exist in the world, clues to mysteries that they want to unfurl, answers from the ancient past, anything of that nature, secrets about individual NPCs. These types of secrets and clues are a currency to the players. They want to roll those insight checks. They want to roll those history and religion checks. They want to know how your world works, but they only want to know that and how it refers to their character and what their character is doing in the session, right? So you don't want to tie it to a specific place or event or NPC, because if they don't like the way you roleplay that NPC, they won't ask that NPC. They'll brush them off. They'll go to the next person. So the idea of taking your secrets and clues and finding a way to insert them into the session and make them relevant is a really important way to improve your notes for your sessions, to improve your ability to improvise on the fly, and your ability to just overall be a good storyteller and DM to your players. And I'm not always good at it. I don't always get through. So he recommends putting down 10 clues, 10 secrets and clues, just to get your brain thinking about the kinds of things the players might learn in the session ahead of you. And a lot of times, you only really reveal like 3 or 4 of them. And for a long time, Sly Flourish recommended dumping your old secrets and clues and coming up with fresh new ones, because if they didn't come up, then they weren't important, right? That was his original thinking. He's come around on that idea, and he's like, look, sometimes a good secret and a good clue just doesn't have the right time to come up during a session, and you shouldn't necessarily erase them. Some clues, if you can't get this clue to your players in 5 or 6 sessions, probably wasn't that important. It doesn't need to come up. But sometimes it does, So there's not a hard and fast rule about how long to keep a secret and clue in your repertoire, but sometimes you transfer them over back and forth. Another thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that normally the prep that I was doing yesterday is in yesterday's video. That hour and 15 minutes or so that I was live, I would have finished my notes and been done and ready to go. And I think that's important because a lot of times DMs, we feel this need to over prep for the game that's right in front of you. And Matt Mercer, who I think we all know is one of the greatest DMs in the hobby right now. There's not really a question about that. Whether you like him or not, he's fantastic as a DM, and I'm not trying to say anything bad about him here, but in an interview, someone asked him, Matt, how much prep work do you do for the average session? And he said something along the lines of, every hour of game time, he puts in an hour or two of prep time. And that got me thinking about the notes I was taking yesterday, and how I don't know that when Matt says prep time, he means the same thing that I'm talking about right now, right? Matt Mercer runs a very fluid game where his players might hear a rumor about something happening in the next town and just go to that next town. And he has the freedom to do that, and he's a very good improvising DM. But I think it's because when he says prep time, he means world building and session prep. And to me, those are two different kinds of prep. As a DM, we love our worlds. We love it more than our players ever will. We think about it all the time. A lot of my world building gets done at the slow times at work when I'm just daydreaming about being anywhere other than at my job. I think about, what my characters might do. I think I put my head in the NPCs. I build up factions and villains and monsters and cities and kingdoms and religions. Just daydream about that sort of stuff. And while I think that there is a time where you take, whatever Google document you put those down in, or, notebook next to your bed, or I personally use Discord. I have a little notes tab where I just throw whatever ideas in my head during work, throw it into Discord real quick in between customers. Sometimes you do need to sit down for a couple of hours and just take all of those notes and finish a thing. But to me, that's the world building that goes on for your prep. That's not session prep. It's not useful for the next 4 hours with your friends all around you, eating snacks and making jokes and talking about your world, your days, while you're playing your silly dragon fighting game, right? To me, session prep really should be about an hour long. Sometimes you go over, sometimes, especially if you're like I was for a long time, you only play online. Sometimes that second hour is finding art for tokens, finding maps for your VTT, setting up the monsters in D&D Beyond so that you can roll them at the table, having those sound effects and music ready, building your world map out, things like that. Like, I think sometimes having a second hour, if you're like an online DM, can be helpful, but I would really try to limit session prep to just 1 hour, maybe an hour and a half. And I want that time to be as close to my session as possible. When I was playing online, we start at 8:30. My alarm goes off at 7. I sit down at the desk. I open the notes document. I go through it, and I do it because I want the ideas of the session fresh in my mind so that I can improvise at the table. And all I'm doing, so I'm looking at these 8 steps here. All I'm doing, scenes. These are things that might happen. Secrets and clues. These are things they might find out. Fantastic locations. These are places scenes might take place in. Notable NPCs. These are people they might talk to. Monsters. These might be the encounters that they fight. Treasure. These might be the gold and magic items that they get, right? That's all I'm doing. I'm getting myself in a mind frame to run the next session. And so I don't know that when Matt says he spends 2 hours, well, is that 2 hours building a Dwarven Forge set and painting the appropriate miniatures? Is that 2 hours of building up the nearby town and the NPCs? Is that 2 hours fleshing out the secrets and clues of a complex mystery? Or is it just what I'm doing here, the immediate things in front of the players? And so I really don't think that advice he's giving is necessarily accurate, because I think if you're a DM, especially a forever DM like myself, like Dottie, like Matt Mercer, if you're a forever DM like that, you're always in your own head thinking about your world and about your story. Always. And so I don't know that you should count those hours, because That's why you're a DM. You love that, right? You love that world building. You're the only person who cares. Dali just released a video about calendars. I promise you're the only person at your table who cares about your calendar for your world. You're the only person who cares about the tax scheme of Prince John's Sheriff of Nottingham in your world, right? You're the only person at the table who cares about a king from 300 years ago who had a magic sword and slew a dragon, right? You're the only person at your table who cares about that. And you build that because that's something that you love about DMing, right? Your players, they care about their character and they care about the session they're about to play. So if you want to do all that world building, that's great. But that's not prep time. That's not something you put in front of your players unless you can find a way to put it in front of your players by using things like secrets and clues, fantastic locations, notable monsters and NPCs, right? Unless you can find a way to hook in your world building, it's not useful prep time. And so I wouldn't count it and I don't allot for it at my table, right? I don't say, oh, I need 3 hours to prep this session. I don't do that. If I need, like, I might do a second little series of GM prep about Springfield here. As you can see, this is all I have about the important town that they're going to spend huge amounts of my campaign in. This is all I've got. I've got nothing. I need some names. I need some buildings. I need some NPCs in this town. And I don't have it, but I'm not worried about it because all I need is the next session. And the next session are these 5 little shops we rolled up yesterday, my NPC Barton, and some troglodytes, right? That's all I need right now to run a good session, that and some secrets and clues. So that's what we're going to jump into today. As you recognize your characters, this step becomes, what do these characters' personal backgrounds, what could they learn in today's session? But right now I don't know who these characters are, so I want my characters, my refreshing my characters step, I want that to be who the character is. And so I know a little bit more about Buddy's character, so we're going to erase me talking smack about him to oops, that's caps locked, a wild magic sorcerer. Really all that I know right now, but that is what that is. I can get rid of Memphis Briggs. No longer a useful thing. Okay, so secrets and clues. I want them to be able to learn certain things about the session. Tapping the table or something. Thank you. Is it still doing that? Sorry, one of my friends is watching and letting me know about a weird noise that they heard. Okay. Hopefully whatever sound is going on isn't a problem. But we will find out in a few minutes when the latency lets them tell me. Okay, so secrets and clues. What do I want them to learn? So it's still sometimes going. I'm not sure what that would be. I don't have a fan going. It could be there's some noise going, some road noise going on outside. Yeah, it might be the road noise from outside. I don't have a way to deal with that. Tapping my table to test. Yeah, I might have hit the table. Well, I hope it's not too annoying of a noise. I'm still audible. Thank you, Core. Shout out to Core, my friend and former player. Absolutely great. One of my favorite people in the world. And has played plenty of sessions where all I had were these kind of notes for an hour. So for the session, we know that we need them to like Barton. We also need them to hear a little bit about Springfield, and probably a couple of secrets and clues will be about that wagon we prepped at the very end. So probably having a few secrets and clues about that would be good. So I'm actually going to, I didn't do this earlier and I should have. I'm going to bring up my, oop, that's not that. Bring up my session notes. my democracy. Oop, that's not searching where I want that. Desktop. Downloads. Democracy under pressure. Let's open that up. Bring it over here where you can see it. Okay, so one of the first things we can do is reinforce the things that were in this document, because my players have almost certainly forgotten everything they read in this document. And maybe some of them will read it before the session, but maybe not. It's important to remember that the Oldfield Empire was a thing, because Barton Cleveland is an heir to that Oldfield Empire. So that might be a secret that they could learn about him. What else do we have here? We want to remind them that he's campaigning for Eastern Riverton. That's something we could have as a secret and clue, probably. So I think H. Barton Cleveland. I think these are two secrets and clues to really mine right here. So we're going to grab that one. And we're going to reword it a little bit. H. Barton Cleveland is seeking to campaign in Eastern Riverton. Let's get rid of that. He believes winning the town of Springfield, will secure him needed votes to flip the, but Dotty's got a word for this. It's not county. Maybe it is. The county to Union. And so a follow-up to that is East Riverton has firmly been in the totalitarian party's grip for a decade. I'm making that up. I have no idea if that's true to Dottie's world. For a decade now. And many of the towns are dependent on corporations like the Row Corp. The Row Corp is kind of the big bad that I'm using. If you use Dottie's broadsheets, they're presented in the first one, the Argent sector, as kind of this big bad guy group, and their leader, Llewellyn Rowe, is a diabolist. Like, he has deals with devils and stuff like that. And so one of the campaign hooks that he pitches is called like Diabolism on the Rise, and it talks about how these rich oligarchy type guys are in league with devils, and they're trying to start a war with the Southern Ariston Confederacy, who is like this other nearby country that has split off from the Republic. And so they're trying to start a war and consolidate power, because they believe that in order to win the next war, because there was a last war, which is World War I, the next war is World War II, right? So they believe that there's going to be a World War II, and they're trying to consolidate power so that they can come out on top of that Second World War. They would rather start it than get started on all over them. So I'm gonna drop Springfield. I don't think there's anything useful here at the moment. So there was another note in here. Oh shit! I'm being talked to. Okay, it is me. It is me tapping the table. I need to figure out how to fix that, but I will just try to be more cognizant of moving my arms. So Barton has heard a number of supply caravans have been attacked in the recent weeks. Hopes to cure. So I think I'm just going to take this as is as a secret and clue. I think that's a good one. So now, I have not developed the Bibig yet. I know who he is. I have some art for him. Let me see if I can download that art and show it real quick. I have a player who is really good at finding good art, and he sends it to me all the time. And then the ones that I really like, I throw into my Discord notes section. And so, can I grab this guy? Copy image. This is from a book that I bought by XP to Level 3, the YouTuber. Nope, don't do that. His book, The Questonomicon. Let me see if I can just paste the picture. Yeah, look at this guy. This guy with his money bags and his cigar. This is the coal baron that Dottie pitches in that video. This is who he's going to be. I don't have a name for him yet. I think maybe he's a halfling. He's got a little bit of a rounded ear, and he's kind of short. I love this guy. He's got like a gold tooth here. Just really iconic looking bad guy. I think my players will love to hate him. I'm going to base him a little bit on... there's a gunslinger movie with Russell Crowe where I want to say... It's not... Is it Anthony Hopkins? No, it's... there's a bad guy in that, and he's like a rich town baron kind of guy, and he makes Russell Crowe do like a gunslinger tournament where the goal is that he's going to kill Russell Crowe. So there's that guy, and then I was watching, for the first time as an adult, I was watching It's a Wonderful Life, I think it was, and we didn't get all the way to the end where like there's like an angel and Christmassy stuff, but like in the beginning I noticed how dystopian that movie really is, and how much it's really about working man politics versus oligarchs. And so there's a big businessman, owns the banks, and he, during the Great Depression, he's a shitbag, and he gives everyone all these really bad loans, and he buys up all their houses and charges them absurd mortgages and stuff. And he's a shitbag, and you hate him. And that's who this guy's gonna be, I think. He's probably not, like he is the Bibig, but I don't think he's like the Bibig that you have like an epic showdown battle with. Like, he's probably a punk when it comes to fighting. He probably has some bandit lord sneak attack kind of stuff. But he's gonna hire like a really badass gunslinger guy and some really tough, jackboot thug kind of dudes. So that's gonna be, and then he's probably got a devil with him, probably, because he's probably part of Llewellyn Rose Corporation. But the reason that I haven't come up with his name and too much about that yet, and I don't need to here, what I need to do is find a name for his company, right? And so I'm bad at names. And some of you might be too. And so all I'm really going to do is I'm going to just Google. I'm just going to Google 1800s coal companies. I did this before. Historical coal mining. What are some? West Virginia and Appalachia. The Davis Coal and Coke Company. Coketon, Montana Mining. Hetton Coal Company, that's not bad. Let's see, history of coal in the United States. The Coal Wars. What are the Coal Wars? Do we have a list of coal companies? Uh, 1800s coal company names. I love AI. I think it's great that we're blowing up the world for something that doesn't give me the answers that I'm looking for. Smith Brothers. Wolverine Mines. That's a good one. Hillman Coal and Coke Company. Coke must not mean Coca-Cola. I keep seeing this term in regards to coal. Who are the coal barons? Okay. Fantasy Mine Company names? Well, if you've never used the fantasy name generator, these ones are great. Ebony Abyss. Oh, that's good stuff. Sediment Creek Mines. These are what I would use in our standard campaign, like a regular D&D campaign. But I really like the General Electric. I thought he's got Standard Pulp in his BP Oil. Like, they're really kind of basic names. These are too cool of names. Mineral Ventures. Mineral Ventures isn't bad. Mineral Ventures Mining. Let's grab that. Okay. Mineral Ventures Mining. Cool. So we'll exit that out. So Mineral Ventures Mining. And now we're using Obsidian, so we can do this little do. And now it's a thing that I can use for later, and I can click on it. Coal Miners for Robe Corp. So I think they're going to be an LLC of the Robe Corporation, or at least aligned with them in some way. Owns a major coal mine near Springfield, and many of the citizens and their children work the mines now instead of the family farms. One of the things that I want to be a plot point in the campaign, because using the hex crawling rules, so there's excursion resting, right? So they're going to go out on quests, go out and fight bugbears and troglodytes and wrangle axebeaks, just all the things from the video. They're going to do those things on the little hex map here. They're going to come from Springfield, and then they're going to go out, up to this Solomon's Tower and do a 5-room dungeon here, and then go fight the ogre over here, and then they're going to come back to Springfield, and they're going to have to rest for several days, right? And so during those several days, I need stuff happening in the town to make them care about the town, and to make them feel like they're changing the hearts and minds of the people there. But also, I need a villain there that describes why the bad guys, or the good people, are downtrodden and need our heroes, right? So I need a bad guy. So our bad guy, the coal miner, he's given them jobs that suck. If you look at the terrain I've chosen to use here, this is like Badlands awful shit, right? Like, he's destroyed this area with coal mining. He's thrown dynamite at it. He's poisoned the water. Like, there's nothing good here, right? So he's ruining this area, and eventually, they will cut down all these trees and get into war with the druids. If left to their own devices, all of this place will be this blasted landscape. These farms will go under, these cows will die, that sort of stuff. But the reason they keep them around is because there's ogres, and there's bugbears, and there's hobgoblins up in the hills, and there's, monsters in the water. And they need his hired goons to protect them from those things, because they're a far-flung frontier town, right? They don't have the Atroxian military nearby. They're just a little town. And so one of the threats to the town is that they're running out of money. If these farms go under, they're going to have to sell the town to this corporation, and then all of these bad things will happen, right? But at the same time, they need this corporation because it's the only one keeping the monster tribes and the gangster bugbears up in the hills, and the southern Ariston guys. That's what's keeping them safe right now. So they're in this give and take where, like, they need the money that's coming into town from the coal mine, and they need the protection that the coal mine company's providing, but the coal mine just wants to exploit the land and its people for money, right? So what fixes this situation? The players come in, right? That's kind of the objectives of the campaign. And so we want to say, the children work in the mines instead of the family homes. If the farms fail, the county may have to sell parts or all of it to a corporation. Oops, farms aren't. That's not how you spell farms. If the farms fail, the country may have to sell parts or all of it to a corporation. And people will suffer in the coal mines. So that's kind of straight out of what Dottie was talking about in the video, where like you might come across some notes and stuff of children in the coal mines, the O'Malley farm that he mentions in that video. So that's where I'm stealing this from. How many clues are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we're halfway through the secrets and clues. So now we probably want a couple of clues about Barton and his policies here, and I kind of have stolen, so we don't need this anymore. So we've turned all that into notes. So these are the Unionist policies. So I think Celia Powell isn't in charge of anything in the current broadsheet. Dolly's campaign, in this particular that I'm stealing the notes from, takes place like 5 years after the broadsheet is set. So my players won't know that. I can change whatever I want, so that's fine. So there's these Unionist platforms, these different bills here that they're trying to get going. We've got the care plan, the government to buy a major share, to make medicine for people. The Citizenship Act. He wants to create a citizenship law that would both guarantee rights and standardize language for residents and civilians, and use guarantee of equal rights. The Clean Water Act. I know in Dottie's campaign they used the Clean Water Act, and I think it being Riverton, I think this is an important one. So I think we're going to use this one too. The Rebuilding Act, they want to pass the 10 billion note package that would guarantee rebuilding efforts across Tradia, Dragon Rock, and the Crownland to recover properly after the last war. So I think Barton's going to run really heavily into this Clean Water Act, especially in Riverton, where there's a giant river. If we look on our map here, the Red Line River, the Red Line River, it runs through to Blackguard. It runs down in branches off near Oak King and Springfield, the two towns we're talking about here. So I think this Clean Water Act, I think we want to mention it. So the Clean Water Act, I think we're just going to copy all of this as a note. So the Clean Water Act, Barton and the Unionists want to expand the Department of Essential Amenities to fund a huge effort to provide clean water in all settlements in the Republic, not just towns and cities. So this kind of little frontier little area, they want to make sure that there's clean water. I think that's a good platform to run on. We want to go Barton Cleveland is a descendant of the Oldfield Emperors through a maternal line. I believe this is the case. I may have to go fix this later. I'm not going to bring up Dottie's notes. It is paid content. I don't want to bring that up and have him upset with me. I don't know that he would be. He'd probably be like, dude, you're cool. But I don't want to do that. It's not like I'm being paid by anything. I just don't want to, show off anything from the Patreon that I don't have to. Is that how you spell Cleveland? Yeah, that looks right. Through his maternal line, Barton is a rich man in Oldfield, which is one of the regions nearby. But he is campaigning in a poor region because he believes in helping people over corporations. So we want to, again, my players are all fairly left-leaning in their politics. They're going to love this guy who's like, yeah, I'm rich and I could be a silver spoon jerkwad who wants you all to work in the mines and die. But no, I want you to have clean water and good working conditions and I think I want to play him off as aloof to the plight of the working man, but ready to fight for him. I think my players will really react well to that kind of character, and I think that's going to be a really cool way to play him. And I know that that's not entirely off to the actual character from Dadi's game. So let's see, we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got 3 more. So I think that might be enough about Barton. Let's see. Why are you running for Parliament? I'm going to actually just send them this whole thing that I've stolen from Dadi here in his notes. I'm just going to send them this. I might use a newspaper layout kind of thing. You can find some online that'll give you, like, if you just want a handout for your games. I might run it through that and then post like a PDF image of it with Barton in black and white and throw that out to my players before game so that they can read through it if they want to. Because I don't think that just reading this out loud would be practical, and it would probably just make their eyes glaze over. But for some of it, they might find it. Some of them might find it fun if I make this a little handout for them to look through, and I might even print it up and have it at the table. Oh, see, yeah, I want to run on the Clean Water Act. Boom, perfect. Oops, why is it showing that? Don't show people I know playing video games. Educated at Arthesian University. If elected, what are your priorities? Okay, so I don't think we need anything that. So now, I think the last 3 sequencing clues are what they can find out about the wagon. So we're going to come up back here to what we looked at, the overturned wagon. So it was from the City Ledger, a currency exchange with pro-Republican propaganda. So how do we turn that into a secret clue? The wagon. Hi, baby boy. Come on up. Sorry, my dog thinks that I should be cuddling him on the couch, even though as soon as I go out and lay on the couch and watch Mystic Arts video, he will abandon me to lay in the sun on his dog bed. So I'm not buying his nonsense right now, but he is cute, and I do love him. Yes, you're very cute. Okay, so the wagon was owned by a... what was it called? The City Ledger, a currency exchange company called the City Ledger. They are a pro-Republic business who invest in pro-government broadsheets. One of the cool things about Atraxia is that there are broadsheets, newspapers. So I think that's something fun that I want to play with during the course of the campaign. Is every once in a while, I think one of the important businesses in Springfield is going to be the local newspaper. And maybe there'll be like a good guy journalist in there, but I think most of them will be on the payroll of our evil halfling CEO guy. So I want to get the idea in their heads that there are newspapers and that they're biased in all sorts of ways. What else did we write about this? Yeah. The wagon would have had several bags and lock boxes of bank notes and coins, and been protected by an armed guard. So I think it's interesting if the armed guard is missing. I'll have to improvise that if at the table I have to use this 5-room dungeon here. I'll have to improvise that. But hopefully I don't have to use the 5-room dungeon, and then my next session's planning, I can come up with the names of those armed guards and decide if any of them lived, and who has the shotgun. There's going to be a shotgun. Give my players a shotgun early. They'll love it. They'll go crazy. I will regret it immediately, but it'll be fun for them. They'll love having a what's it called, like a blunderbuss or something like that in the firearms rules on the Patreon. So several of the wagon would have had several bags and lock boxes and banknotes that have been protected. An armed guard. There is also a ransacked bag of postal letters. That was scattered and left behind. What else did we write? So I'm doing that because we want to establish communication between the towns, because we know that when we get into the 5-room dungeon, there's going to be letters from people working in the mines that were meant to go out or backwards, to complain about the conditions in the mines to their family in nearby settlements. So we want to play up that tone of the mines are bad. We want to get that early into the players' minds. And then what else did I say? Lizard tracks, stench and scratches, missing horses, a broken wheel blocking the road. So we want some clue about the troglodytes. Let's go open up troglodytes and see if there's anything in their lore that's useful to us. Troglodytes, Dungeon of the Mad Mage. No, the Monster Manual, please. D&D Beyond, you try so hard, but you're so bad. With features similar to those of pale cave lizards, troglodytes stalk the Underdark in an endless hunt for food. Troglodytes consume almost anything, including bones, giant insects, and subterranean dwellers. They prey on the subterranean communities and those near the Underdark, stealing livestock, kidnapping residents. Okay, so those are important things. Livestock and residents. Okay, we can work with that. That means the horses might still be okay, folks. The troglodytes prefer to ambush prey and change their scale color to blend into their surroundings. They often climb along cave walls and emerge from deep fissures to take their prey by surprise. Despite their stealthiness, these stalkers exude a distinct repulsive stench. Descriptions of what troglodytes smell like can span a spectrum as complex as it is vile. This reek nauseates many who smell it, but can also warn of the presence of them before they strike. So we don't know if they're going to attack or not, but I still think giving them the stink smell is interesting, because it means that a player could go, what do I know about something that stinks like this? And either I can go, haha, it's trogs, and they go, oh snap, and then the trogs attack. Or if not, when they go into town and see the bounty for troglodytes, they'll go, that's what that stink was. This is the quest we want to go on, right? We want to guide them towards the trog thing, so I think having evidence of them being troglodytes is our last secret and clue here. So we're going to say the horses and driver, the horses and crew, would you call it crew? And wagon crew are nowhere to be found. You can find what appear to be claw marks on the harness and across the wagon. You find, if I look at the trogs, if they have 4 digits, 4-digit clawed footprints, and there is the remnants of a vile stench, but not one of death. So I think that is remnants. I think that is our secrets and clues here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Yeah, so that is good there. We've been going about 45 minutes. The only thing I have left, we've got our notable NPCs. I don't think they're going to meet anyone other than these little shop owners, and they're already up here. They don't need to be brought down. They're not important NPCs. They're just some quick names. So we've got the cities. So they're going to be in Oak King, so we want them to know about that. They're going to go to Springfield. We want them to know about that. If it comes up, Santon is this other town. If they're like, why is Springfield even important? And to me, it's probably because Santon looks like a coastal village. So, you know, like people probably pull into this harbor and then send stuff up the road either to Fort East Coast or through Springfield and Oak King into, you know, the Forkside and places like that. So having this name up here will let me answer some questions, but it's not within the scope of my campaign. It's just, where does this road on the map, where does it go? You know, it trails off the map here. Where does it go? Oh, that's to Santon, right? So we're never going to go there. We don't need to know anything about it. We don't need to flesh it out at all, but we need to know that it exists. And so we will put it in our notes so that we can do that. We've got our notable NPCs, Barton, and he's got a campaign manager and a personal manservant. And those will be some color characters that I can say things that Barton wouldn't say. This Jane Tranter, I think she's going to be very like the one who stamps back on Barton's boldness, and then Kenton is going to remind us that Barton is in fact a spoiled brat who has a manservant, right? So I think those characters will be fun. I'll probably do like an old butlery voice for Kenton, or something like that. Oh yes, your grey poupon. Would you like mustard upon your, so something like that will make them like him, and he'll know stories about when Barton was a kid. And then Jane Tranter I think is gonna be more practical, probably more of my normal voice. And kind of maybe a little sarcastic, a little like annoyed, and like reminding him of the things he needs to do. So we've got those. So all I really need is some treasure that they can find in this adventure, and I'm not sure what that is at the moment. So sometimes you don't do all 8 steps. I don't know if they go into the dungeon. Obviously, I need treasure, but I don't know. Like, what are they going to steal stuff from the wagon? That seems kind of meh. What are the Swaggin gonna have? Probably nothing. So I don't know that treasure is all that useful. There was the curio shop. They might go into the curio shop and buy that candle. Okay, so I use Sly Flourish style relics, which are like objects that can, once per day cast a spell. And so I might say that lantern, where did we put that? The curio shop, the Tony's Tchotchkes, the candle holder that's warm to the touch even after sitting unused. What would a cantrip be? What would be cool is if it cast like a once per day produce flame. That's a cantrip, right? Where is D&D Beyond? Pretty sure produce flame is a cantrip in the current book. Rules library. Wow, D&D Beyond made everything really hard to find. Awesome. I love that for me. That's super helpful. Where's the player's handbook? It should just be at the top. I have to search. I know that they're fixing it. It's still frustrating. Druid cantrips. Druid spell list. Ooh, elementalism. That might be better. No, I wouldn't mind them having it, because they're mostly humans. I think, well, the guy that was an orc has changed. So I think them having something that they can use as a light would be cool. And maybe they can buy it before they go. Or maybe the person playing will buy it. So is Produce Flame still a... No, it's not. Create Charm Animal. No, those are level 1s. Produce Flame. Yeah, there we go. A silver candle holder, warm to the touch, no matter how long it has been off. Casts produce flame. but can only use the magic action once per short rest. Because we're using the excursion resting rules, if I use the once per day rule, that becomes a holy day under Dahlia's rules, where then they can only do it on Sundays. So I think throwing a produce flame for a D8 damage or whatever the hell at once a week is pretty lame. But like once a short rest, it could come up. So primarily I want them to be able to be like, the candle just lights itself. And then they can throw it sometimes when they want. So that's a cool piece of treasure. I don't know that there's anything else that maybe they could find something cool in the wagon. What would be interesting to find in the wagon left behind? What does it say Trogs have for loot? Probably nothing, because they're naked lizard monsters. Naked lizard monsters. That is a weird sentence to say, and I have recorded it to the internet. Luckily, only my friend Cora is watching this, and maybe my mom. Yeah, nothing for the loot table for Trogs. Maybe they could find some bullets, 30 banknotes, 13 silver coins that they can exchange when they get back to town. A locket, a silver locket worth 150 notes, and some bullets is a useless number. I said 13 silver coins. 27 bullets. I think they're called lead balls or something like that. That's probably enough. That's probably good enough. Oh, this is in session notes, not treasure. Alright. Cut. Spaced. Session notes is for me. So these I will probably put. So now the last thing I need to do is convert this into a Word document and grab the stat blocks for the monsters that I'm using, because I do print these out at the table and use them that way. I hope if anyone does watch this that it ended up being useful. D&D's easy. This would have probably in real life taken me an hour and a half that I would have done right before my session. But I had to explain a bunch of things and pontificate, and so that did take longer. But really, like, this is all the prep that I need. This might be a whole night's session. It might be 2 night sessions, especially with this 5-room dungeon. This could be more than two sessions, depending on how engaged my players get with their scenes. And, so it could be that they really like talking to Barton, and I never even get to the turned over wagon, and then I can just carry that over to the next week and have half my prep done. It may be that I burn through this opening sequence and have to get to the 5-room dungeon, but I've got it right here. I'm ready to run it if I need to be. I can improvise it. I'll bring some cave maps with me, and some monsters, and if not, I can expand this out into a bigger session, flesh it out, introduce the missing coachman and the shotgunner and the horses, and they'll love the horses. They'll name the horses 100%. They will name the horses. And it will be some awful pun name because that's who my players are. But yeah, so I just wanted to do a little video showing how easy it is to prep a session based off a video you saw or a book you read or a movie that you enjoyed. It's really, very easy. You don't have to have a lot to go on. That's kind of what I wanted to show, is that I don't know. I have this whole map. I have no idea who Tissalia is. I think she's a dryad. I have no idea who the Temple of Gerudo is. I think that's one of the gods from Dotty's world. I don't even remember. I made this like a month ago. The ruins of Fort Calvel. No idea how that fort got blown up. I know that the bugbears are hiding there. The Moeller farm, I have no idea who they are. The O'Malleys, I know are from Octavia, and I'm just going to steal them from Dothy's notes. The Cortez family I made up, no idea. Patterson farm, no idea. The Church of the Mother and its graveyard, no idea. The Troglodyte Cave, it's probably our first quest. The Axebeak herd mentioned in Dottie's video. The ogres over here. I genuinely don't know, and I don't need to. I just need 4 hours to entertain my friends, and then I have a week to however long in between sessions that you would normally have. That's the time that I have, and so just start playing, just start running. This is all you need. You don't need very much. This was 2 hours worth of a video, and a lot of it was just me rambling about my ideas. I mean, if I wasn't talking in front of the camera, this would have taken an hour, and I would be confident in running it. I would have a great time. So that's kind of what I wanted to tell people, and I hope that if you're thinking about wanting to run D&D, you love these videos like I do, you love Critical Role, and you love playing D&D, but you feel like you could run a game, I think you could. And it's this easy. You don't need, I don't need you to pull up. Let me look at like Dothy's notes. Someone was saying in the chat, how am I ever going to get to this peak of Dothy's notes? And you're not a professional writer, unless you are, and then you know how to write like this, right? You don't need all that. He likes to do that. You probably don't even need this. This is just a little formula that I found on the internet and right? You probably need less than this to run an entire adventure for 4 hours with your friends. Some monsters, some treasure, some NPCs, a cool place to explore, a couple of fight scenes. That's it. Some things that they can learn about your setting. That's all you need. Just get up, go run games, have a good time. If you end up watching this, please, that's what I want you to know. Thank you so much to the people who do end up watching this. My mom